Today's video is going to be a follow-up to the video I made on the summer update. Don't worry, you're not lost if you're a new viewer. I'm not going to talk about things that are completely over your head. I'm just saying that if you want to maybe be more in the loop, then you should watch that video before you get here. For the rest of you, or those too stubborn to take my advice, hi, welcome back. It's good to see you again. Ever since I released that video, I've been spending more time up here in my head thinking about what kind of update I would like to see for TF2 and what kind of thing I think Valve should do. And to be honest, I think what I have to say might be a little controversial to some. In that video, I kind of touched on the general idea that I'm a different kind of player than probably the average person playing TF2 today. I was playing the game in a different time span, I saw different things happen to it, so I have completely different expectations for what could and should happen to the game, and and I know what was happening to the game back in that time period. And something I've noticed more and more as time has gone along is that the TF2 community is really firmly stuck in the attitudes and expectations of what players wanted post Meet Your Match. Now, I know I've said a lot right there, and that doesn't really explain anything. So let's try to extrapolate something. Like, for example, let's look at the community's stance on weapons. During the time of Meet Your Match, there was a really big push to try to make TF2 a competitive game, like above all else. Both Valve and the community, all the content creators, especially all the competitive players, they wanted TF2 to be a esport game to compete with what was at the time the new Overwatch. Now, we all know how that went out. Overwatch, it was a really tightly designed good game at the start, but since Blizzard isn't really a good company and they can't do good things, it eventually became shittier and shittier, and a common sentiment I've seen is, oh, TF2 is successful because it's a casual game. And that's true. TF2 has maintained a casual audience, but despite the fact that the community seems pretty, sure about that, a lot of the attitudes from the Meet Your Match period have not disappeared. And going back to my original point, which was about weapons, it's that people seem pretty scared of the thought of Valve ever touching weapons. Like, whenever a new update comes out, you always see people complaining, oh, we're not getting new weapon rebalances, we're not getting new weapons, they're not touching weapons at all. And you always see people saying, well, Valve doesn't want to touch weapons because they have to fix the broken weapons. Now, this is the controversial part I was talking about earlier. Why is it bad if Valve maybe, just theoretically, makes things unbalanced a little bit? Now, I know you probably just rolled your eyes at that, like, no, Nye doesn't give a shit about weapon balancing, he doesn't give a shit about the game design, the tight, carefully designed nature of the game. Now, calm down, I do, but not everything has to be, pixel perfect, designed to a T, focus tested for a competitive audience. We used to have weapons that were very, casual friendly. Like, if you remember the old Sandman, it used to be a stun. And it was really good if you were, bad at Scout. Oh, there's a heavy with a medic? I'm just gonna throw my Sandman ball. And guess what? He can't do anything about that. He's stuck like that. I just stunned him. And you see, the biggest complainers about that were the competitive players. The people who could, they could totally outskill that Scout any other time. But because he used the Sandman ball on him, then suddenly he dies. And this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. TF2 weapons used to be designed to be casual. Valve would just change a whole bunch of stuff all the time. Sometimes they would like massively overbuff weapons. Sometimes they would massively over nerf them. That they would never be like super game breaking, but they would always be a little like off. They would be a little special in their own way. And that's something I miss. Just them doing things with weapons. And I feel like that what I mentioned, the post meet your match attitude, is not going away. We're like so sure about having like really like well competitively designed weapons that can't do anything silly or funny ever, and I think that's a mistake. I think if we really want to get new content ever again, that's not just the same regurgitated hats and maps, we need to, I don't know, just change our attitudes. I've really been going hard with like the weapon idea, but it's really this like general sense of experimentation that was in every aspect of the game that I miss. And I think if Valve really wanted to make things fresh again, they should just do something different. It doesn't matter how small, it doesn't matter how insignificant, if they just did something different, no matter what, that would freshen things up, and that's all that they would need to do. I think if there's one word I would use to describe the feeling I have with all of this samey content getting in the game every single holiday season, every single year. I mean, you read the fucking title, Jesus Christ. It's fatigue. It's content fatigue. I'm fatigued.
I was a victim of magic, Apollo, catching my breath as I bled.